Okay, we're rolling. I'm coming. Here we go. Okay, so I do something more contemporary that's happening. Um, Basically, I've been doing this for a lot of years, photographing for some 40 years, but having to kind of relearn things all the time. And that's happened the last 40 years. Everything keeps changing all the time. So the most recent thing that I got into is getting about 3 months ago. So I heard about doing this new kind of stuff with stock photography. And I thought, well, no, people can't be doing stock photography because this was what I learned was stock photography. This was the stuff that you had to be a top shooter because these Comstock and these other people, the stock market, put out these very expensive books that showed the stock images they had. And those went out to top ad agencies to entice them to go through to license photos. And back when I was doing stuff to start with, the top photo, back in like the early 70s, it sold for, maybe it was maybe the early 80s, several decades ago, long time ago now, but it sold for $31,000 to a financial company. And it was a big gray wave out in the ocean that they used, and they got exclusive rights to it. But today's dollars, man, that would really set you up in a lot of camera gear. So when they started talking about the stock, I thought, well, no, it's got to be. But then it said micro stock. And I had to get my head around this new concept that rather than selling a single photo for a lot of money, licensing it for a lot of money, or being very restrictive on the uses of it, it was pretty well where you have to go through and get it out there and you have to sell it hundreds of times, license it hundreds of times for just a small amount of money to make any kind of payoff on it. And I thought, well, that's a different idea, but I also realized they're using this stuff in all over the place. So somebody can get one of these subscription things on one of the websites, and just use a bunch of photos. Then for them doing their blog or vlog or program or something, it works out well. It lets them illustrate it very inexpensively. And there's a lot of it going on. So I thought, well, this is just a growing market. So I thought, well, I need to kind of look at this. It'd be kind of different to do. And I was kind of sitting on thousands of images that I shot through the years and thought, well, maybe I could go through and put those up online and see how it works. So it's been a new education process to work with this. And a lot of things I started seeing was kind of in around Shutterstock. And it seemed like a good learning venue to start working on. And so I've been working on that now for getting up to be 3 months. And I'm kind of learning how the system works, what is required for technical quality for images. Found out some of the images I shot years ago on 4 megapixel cameras isn't going to cut it today. Having to see what will work or what going through a Photoshop process, or I'm using Affinity, would go through and make an old image acceptable for today's standards. Also the whole thing about keywording, all this stuff going on. So it's been kind of coming along, and got about 500 images up now, some of being licensed. The idea is I'm trying to look as I get older to actually have this promise of this passive income coming in when I won't be shooting so much and won't be generating the photos. Or as I'm doing now, if I was hoping if I was going to be shooting and generating images, it was going to be in a funner fashion than I had been doing. Some of that finding pretty quickly may not be working out quite as I hope, because the images that are selling or licensing tend to be studio shots, which is where I've been doing that for 30, 40 years. I was hoping to go out and do like everybody else, go out and photograph a bunch of waterfalls and photograph, gas meters or something, get out and photograph wonderful travel sites. But that doesn't seem to be the ones right now that's taking off so much. So this is kind of finding out what people are looking at, what people are licensing, what the needs are to actually make revenue, but then also try to keep it so it's not the burden that it was when I was shooting before, due to the fact that when I was shooting before, I was making a lot of money shooting. This stuff, I'm not seeing making the returns on it even over a long period of time. But it's an interesting concept. It's something that's different. I understand that this hasn't been going on very long. It may all crash and burn coming up. They may find that everybody finds out they can't make any kind of money on this, or they're putting out more money than they're getting back, and this will kind of flop and pass away. But right now it's still kind of showing promise and potential. And so I've been working on the image side, getting images up, seeing what it takes to get up, what varieties of images will go up, and what the requirements are. Obviously, with any search situation, the keywording is going to be an interesting process to understand that. Spending a lot of time working on keywording and finding a process to locate the keywords that are significant that people would be searching for. And then again, trying to keep it enjoyable. Also, just Shutterstock right now, but I'm researching other agencies. And it does seem that you have to really be with a number of places because of the buyers having their preferred agency they want to work with. And once I get things worked out, then I'll go ahead and spread out to more agencies, slowly signing up for ones as I go along. A lot with reading through their contracts to see what you're sacrificing and going on them, what they're requiring. So it's been quite an interesting process on it. And since the studio work is pretty well dried up, as the industries I've been in have kind of morphed and changed or are now collapsing. And it's something I can do for many years still to come and hopefully enjoy it. So just wanted to kind of make a statement about that. And it may be just making a statement for myself to see this later. It's kind of the first days of this, and I will see how it builds up. Hoping this will also work in the fun part. Been working on a website for people visiting Portland and getting into the details around town of things to see, and of course trying to find Portlandia, or what little bit is left of it. So those images, when I get the quality level up, can work also in with this. So kind of some dual purposes on things. So hopefully if I go along and I get down really good routines and specifics on that, I've been seeing people do sharing videos on what they're finding that really works. And if I get stuff that's proven, then I'll see about maybe doing some videos on passing that information along. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And thank you very much.